In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement, the weekly show that keeps you in the know about all things retirement. I'm Rick Everett, your host and financial advisor with Market Advisory Group, along with the full complement of panelists today to include Jonathon McCoy, financial advisor and partner with Market Advisory Group. With Market Tax Services, one of our tax professionals, Susan Curtis, Corey Hebert, health insurance advisor from Market Medicare Advisors, and estate planning attorney from Eidelman Law Firm, Doug Chowder. Welcome in, everyone. Jonathon, you've been sharing with me a story about Darren and Gina's retirement plans and how they're unfolding of late. Their situation and retirement plans have been evolving. So I wanted to get with you and share a little bit about how it all started, the process of evolution.
Yeah, originally Darren and Gina came to one of our in-person workshops, specifically focusing on Social Security and taxes. And by the time we met with them for their first consultation, they had decided on final retirement dates. They knew they were in those last few months of transitioning into retirement, and that they weren't really getting a lot of their questions answered by the plan sponsors through the employer-sponsored plans and 401ks that they'd been saving in. And they knew that ultimately, with their financial situation changing, they're paying off a house, doing a lot of things that a lot of folks are aiming toward going into retirement, that they needed to know what issues they hadn't addressed. And a lot of folks that we talk to are not realizing those issues until after the fact, until after it's cost them, in some cases, thousands of dollars or even more. Really, our focus originally was how are they going to live on this money? What was their budget for retirement going to be? What sort of travel goals did they have? And by uncovering a lot of details in that situation and understanding a little bit more of the family dynamics, who is going to inherit their assets, what were the tax implications going to be on their retirement accounts, we were able to dig deeper into each of those areas, even into the healthcare situation, because Darren's retired military personnel. All of those ingredients required the enactment of all of our the engagement of all of our departments here at Market Advisory Group. That's where it all starts, right? Is we've got to know the question. As advisors, even though I'm not an attorney, I'm not a Medicare advisor, I'm not a tax professional, we are able to bring those questions to the table, and sometimes we get the answer to those questions of, we never thought about that. And then we can dig into, here's how you should be looking to address those situations, because when people lose those services of investment management, tax management, payroll, and healthcare through their employers, somebody's got to step in and help them with those things.
Absolutely. So if you could explain how the process at Market Advisory Group is designed to identify tax issues as one of the concerns, even though you yourself are not a tax professional.
Yeah, ultimately, as I mentioned before, like a lot of folks we meet with, Darren and Gina had saved the majority of their funds in pre-tax retirement accounts, employer-sponsored plans, 401ks, the thrift savings plan through the federal government. 90% of the money that they owned, they had not paid taxes on yet. And when I walked through just the preliminary implications, even before Susan got involved in their tax planning situation, it was a massive eye-opening circumstance for them when they realized that, of these millions of dollars that they'd saved for retirement that they planned to live on, that if they didn't spend it all, the IRS was going to be their biggest beneficiary, not their kids. But more immediate concern was, what if tax rates go higher sometime in the first 5 to 10 years of the retirement? We talk every week about the impending end of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And once that ends and we start to see the tax code change, there's an immediate concern that you could pay a higher than expected level of taxes on all that money that you've saved for retirement. That was a massive risk that we had to get Susan and the tax team at Market Tax Services involved to start not just running projections, but come up with a proactive solution to help mitigate those tax increases.
Susan Curtis with Market Tax Services. Tell us a little bit about your experience and interaction with Darren and Gina to this point.
I was brought into the conference room back in November to help execute a Roth conversion for them. It was very large and substantial, and we needed to know how much that was going to cost them. So by doing so, they had to make a large estimated tax payment, and then there was a delay, and we had to contact the IRS in the States to find out where that payment was.
Good times, right? Contacting the IRS. We all know that dealing with the IRS in any way is generally not a pleasurable experience. What sorts of devices does Market Tax Services employ to help clients of Market Advisory Group stay organized and plan ahead and keep the tax man out of their hair, if you will?
Well, you know, we offer the tax review that goes along with the portfolio review as often as quarterly. We also do tax planning, you know, towards the end of the tax year. And then, you know, we help them respond to notices and with those different government agencies. That way they're not wasting their time, and, you know, we're taking that burden away from them.
Would you say that those services were put to good use with Darren and Gina?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm currently working on cleaning up a penalty that they were charged that they shouldn't have been charged due to, again, the Roth conversion. They sent in their payment ahead of time, and it should have been received and applied accordingly, but there was a huge delay. Therefore, you know, I had to get involved in, you know, having the background and the knowledge that I have. I know what to say and how to get it done effectively without causing the client any additional added pain.
Tax people being able to effectively communicate with the IRS, something that you and I as non-tax people, we may not have that vernacular.
Well, not only do I not want to spend hours a day on hold with the Department of Revenue or the IRS, neither do our clients, right? And once you do finally get a hold of these institutions, what questions do you ask? Do you have the answers to their questions when you are using their jargon and their vernacular? I've just experienced personally with our clients that it's a lifesaver having someone who's dedicated to spend their time like Susan, and it's not wasted time. It's otherwise time that, you know, our clients would have to be sitting at home on hold with these government entities, you know, for hours on end in some cases just to get to the right person. So not only is it a time savings, but it's much more efficient process that we can leverage the knowledge and background and the proactive advice that is provided by the tax professionals through MTS, Market Tax Services, as most people know them, to make sure that not only us as advisors are giving better advice, but that the process is carried out in a smooth and ordinary or organized fashion, I should say, without wasting all of that time. And ultimately, a lot of folks we find are winding up at dead ends when trying to deal with the government. That's why it's so helpful to have these folks around.
As Susan just highlighted, even when you do the work and plan ahead, there can be issues that you get penalized for. So it helps to have a team in place to fight for you when you need them most. If you'd like to set up a complimentary, no obligation visit with this team, our operators are standing by right now to take your call at 316-252-8707. That's 316-252-8707. And be sure and check out our website at ionretirement.com. We'll be back with more Eye on Retirement, and it comes your way right after this.
Out on the water, there is a moment. Perfect synchronization. The team working together in harmony to reach their goal. Now, imagine finding a team of financial professionals to help run your course down the river of retirement. Market Advisory Group is that team. Financial advisors, tax professionals, estate planning attorneys, and Medicare advisors. All in the same boat. If you don't have a team like this in one place, it can become a hassle to relay information between them. When you come to Market Advisory Group, we bring everyone together for you. To get you answers in real time. To help make sure you don't miss something that puts your unique plan off course. You shouldn't be the one doing all the work to keep your retirement on pace. You should have a team in the boat with you. Your voice telling them where you're at, where you'd like to end up, and how you want to get there. And at that point, everyone falls into sync, all pulling in the same direction, toward the same purpose. Your retirement's financial security. We are Market Advisory Group, proud sponsor of Shocker Rowing.
Hi, and welcome back into Ion Retirement. In the prior segment, we introduced Darren and Gina's retirement situation and how the blend of Market Advisory Group and Market Tax Services Advisors has been guiding them on a path of optimized tax management, even in this first year after retiring. Jonathan, what other types of planning priorities did you put in place for Darren and Gina?
So I mentioned that early consultation process, that we've got to have the right questions to ask folks, because a lot of people that we talk to, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know to ask the questions and the advisor you're talking to is not licensed to give advice in these different areas of healthcare, taxes, and estate planning, we have to ask ourselves how likely it is for those questions to actually ever come up in any sort of financial planning conversation. So after I got to know Darren's situation, retired military, has access to TRICARE and VA benefits, that some of that blends over into Gina in this circumstance, her healthcare situation. That's enough of a unique variable to where I know we've got to get Market Medicare Advisors involved. And Corey and his team with Market Medicare Advisors, really, I tell people all the time, they save our bacon as advisors, because when things change in their financial situation, often it can have impacts on the overall costs to their Medicare and other health insurance benefits. And especially when you talk about specific situations like having TRICARE available, Medicare blends in a very unique way with those systems. While I'm familiar with the fact that it's unique, the specific ways that it's actually unique is where we have to enlist the professionals. And Corey jumped in a wonderful way for Darren and Gina to help them understand, if nothing else, more importantly, what timeline do they need to be paying attention to make sure they're not hit with lifetime penalties on their Medicare premiums? When do they need to switch over? What kind of gaps need to be filled in that coverage?
Corey Hebert, Market Medicare Advisors, when you see a situation like Darren and Gina's, they already both have health benefits through the VA and TRICARE. Everyone comes into retirement from a different direction. Pre-existing conditions, retiring before 65, options for employer benefits like COBRA, etc. So how do Market Medicare Advisors step in to help Market Advisory Group Advisors' clients grapple with all these variables and try and determine which is the best option for them?
Yeah, so whenever we talk about Medicare, it's supposed to be very easy. Everybody turning 65 is entitled, as long as they have their 40 working credit hours, to Medicare Part A and Part B. It sounds like everybody should be making fairly similar decisions based on that same coverage that they have. With this case specifically, we do have TRICARE. And TRICARE makes Medicare a little bit more interesting than the average person may be available to get, because they do have access to the VA. And I have yet to see a prescription drug plan available through the Medicare industry that is better than a prescription drug coverage that the VA alone is willing to provide. But in this very specific case, the interesting part is that even if these two plan to work past 65 or plan to have healthcare coverage past the age of 65, anybody listening out there that has TRICARE, you are no longer eligible for TRICARE at the age of 65. And that comes as a shock to many people. And it's a little bit of a twist I'm going to throw in here. You're no longer eligible for TRICARE because you only are eligible for TRICARE for life. And it's a very similar system, but what the biggest difference is TRICARE no longer is going to be your primary payer. Medicare A and B are going to step in as the primary payer in this situation. But there are definitely some things in this. Jonathon is doing some planning ahead of time, because IRMA is a big factor whenever we do start to talk about Medicare. So we know that we're going to have this added expense of now we're going to have to be paying for Medicare Part B. Part B for 2024 has a standard premium of $174.70. Now with this couple, if you are making greater than $206,000 before you get to Medicare age, you can end up paying quite a bit more due to IRMA. And that is where a little bit of the financial planning ahead of time makes sense. That whose job is it to let them know about IRMA? I can inform them about IRMA and I can let them know that IRMA's there. I'm not going to, I don't want to touch any of their money. That is Jonathan's job to help them plan for that. So that's where that communication, being able to just yell out my door into the next room over to Jonathan, hey, as we're planning for Darren and Gina, do you know what their income was over the last 2 years? So that I can start getting them accurate pricing to this extra cost that is coming into their life.
So does Market Medicare Advisors, I understand, helping people make that transition from TRICARE or private pay insurance into the Medicare world? But does Market Medicare Advisors provide ongoing service to the Market Advisory Group clients regarding their health insurance?
Yeah, absolutely, because Medicare, it goes through drastic changes on a calendar year. I've been in this industry for 4 years, believe it or not, and I have seen it all over the scale on, specifically prescription drug coverage, some of the massive changes that it's undergone over the past 2 to 3 years. What's important to know is that even with this specific situation, we have TRICARE that's playing with Medicare. Other situations that we see is we see the FEHB, or Federal Employee Health Benefits, and how do those work with Medicare. And then we have employers that are occasionally, it's becoming more and more rare, offer Medicare plans post-retirement. We are licensed in all lines of Medicare. These are all situations that we have dealt with before. And with these constant changes, you really need that team that is not just knowing the basics about Medicare and trying to fit the people we talk to into these boxes, but knowing everything there is to know about Medicare and how many different options and directions there are.
Thank you, Corey. You know, on your own, it is possible to keep up with all the changes to the tax code or the markets or the Medicare system, but it's unlikely that you can keep up with the changes to all of these at the same time. And that's why you should have a team on your side advocating for you. Market Advisory Group is that team. And to set up a complimentary, no-obligation visit with us, operators are standing by to take your call right now at 316-252-8707. And be sure and check out our website at ionretirement.com. We'll be back with the final segment of this show, and it comes your way right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have, by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
I need a place to go to see about my investments. Ask my friends if they know about holistic retirement. Everything in one place. Estates, taxes, and Medicare. People meeting face to face. Advisors to help me get there.
At Market Advisory Group. Retirement under one roof. At Market Advisory Group. We're invested in you.
Hi, and welcome back into the final segment of this week's episode of Eye on Retirement. We've been talking about Darren and Gina and the team approach to retirement planning that has led to Market Tax Services and Market Medicare Advisors' involvement to help manage the tax and healthcare aspects to their retirement. Jonathan, you had mentioned that before the show, you had talked about Darren and Gina and that they had also had an existing estate plan in place. Now, from your perspective as the investment guy, is it important to understand how your clients intend to leave assets to their beneficiaries?
Well, it seems, the obvious answer is yes. It seems natural that, throughout the course of the rest of your financial life, we've got to know what is the ultimate purpose for these funds. If you're not planning on spending all of the money that you own today, what are the tax implications going to be to the next generation? We could talk to Susan, we could talk to Doug at Idleman Law Firm, and have all of those brains in one room at the same time to work out the most appropriate plan. And a lot of that involves conversation outside of what's happening with your investments. Any financial advisor can talk to you about how you're accessing the market, what tools are you using, what funds are you investing in, what are the expenses, the risk, the reward. It doesn't do much, that conversation does not do much to help the next generation. And Doug and Gina in particular, just recently, they came into the conference room, we had a conversation around the idea of them renting their current home to one of their kids and buying a home down the street so they can be close to the grandchildren, help with, commuting the kids back and forth to school, or the grandkids back and forth to school. And that's a whole new ingredient we had never discussed. This was a relatively new idea because a home in their neighborhood came on the market and it was an opportunity they were looking to take advantage of to make things more manageable time-wise for them as a company. And when we see those massive financial decisions needing to be made, that's why we have our one-on-one meetings. That's why we bring the tax professionals and Doug with Idleman Law Firm into the conference room to make sure that as the assets that they own and the people that are involved in their lives change, their estate plan, even though they put a good plan in place for the time in their life that they put that plan together, we've got to understand that things are going to change, things are going to evolve. Just like the markets change and your financial needs change, the ultimate purpose for how these assets are going to serve not only you but your beneficiaries, it changes, and that estate plan needs to be updated along the way as well.
Doug Chowder, as an attorney specializing in estate planning, does having the opportunity to communicate and plan alongside Market Advisory Group advisors and their clients amount to sometimes different outcomes regarding their estate planning?
Well, sure. Anytime that somebody creates an estate plan, it's set up where they think that, okay, I'm good now and I don't have to do a whole lot to adjust it. A lot of times, though, life happens and things change that require a review, just like you review your finances every so often, or you review your Medicare situation, you review your taxes. You need to take a look and review your estate plan and how that's affecting things. For example, in the situation with Darren and Gina, where they're looking to buy the house for their kids, a question becomes, how do we buy this house? Is this going to now be part of the inheritance? Because we've got, do we want to adjust for the other children based on this? Do we want to give this ownership of the home to the kids now, or to this child now, or do we want to have this adjusted? So anytime there's any kind of major life changes, it absolutely requires a review of the plan that you have. But even just on a regular basis, it makes sense to review how things are set up.
How do you approach a situation like Darren and Gina's, where they already had all these documents for an estate plan in place, and maybe they didn't feel like they needed to change anything, even though the documents may have been 5, 10, 15 years old?
Sure, and we have that happen quite a bit, where we've got people that have created, I've seen lots of trusts that are 20 and 30 years old, and wills that were drafted when the kids were, 5 years old, and now they're 35 years old. So there are a lot of times where a plan can be drafted in place and can sit for many years and not necessarily need changed. If there's no change in how they're doing it and they're utilizing their trust effectively, those documents may be perfectly fine. Some of the other documents, the healthcare directives and the powers of attorney in particular, are ones that do require a review more frequently. A lot of powers of attorney are constructed where they're not effective immediately, and they may only take effect when something happens. Well, as folks get older, a lot of times a family member may be helping them out, or there maybe needs to update that. And at passing of spouses, a lot of times too, documents need to be updated. So there are a lot of situations where, periodic review is a good thing to make sure.
And laws can tweak a little bit from time to time, not to mention the fact that life changes all the time.
That is absolutely true. Life is never static, and these documents shouldn't be static either.
Jonathan, great show. It shows once again that the people that come to us, a lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. And by having that team in place, a cohesive team, all working for the common objective of the client in front of them, they have an effective retirement plan.
And how one domino knocks the other down. The income limits for Medicare impact the tax plan, impact how our assets going to be handed to the next generation. What are the decisions we're making today to optimize all of that for the rest of your life?
For me, nothing is more disappointing than when you're finishing a jigsaw puzzle and there's one piece missing. You're looking high and low, you can't find it. Imagine if a piece of the puzzle of your retirement is missing. That can feel exponentially worse. Market Advisory Group is here to help. Give us a call, 316-252-8707. We're out of time. We'll be back next week. On behalf of the entire team, we're here to remind you we're keeping an eye on retirement.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client and prospect names mentioned on this show have been changed to protect the identities of the individuals discussed. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Eidelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal/tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies. All rights reserved.